Hello, I'm Don Berquist of Rancilio Group North America. Today we'll be talking about Egro, one of the brands of Rancilio Group. We're going to be talking about tools necessary for the job. It's not all comprehensive, but it's those tools I call essential for actually working on the Egro. First on the list, we're going to need a gram scale. We want a smaller one. We're only going to be weighing somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 30 grams. Right after that, we're going to be looking at multimeters and an amp meter. So a multimeter, that allows us to be able to check whether we have voltage going to the particular component. That just means the machine's sending the electricity to the right place, and we need to know if it has the potential for doing work. But we don't know if it's actually doing work, like in the case of heating elements and such. And that's why we need a clamp meter, an amp meter. And so there's two different types here. I have a fork and we have the clamp. I prefer the fork version. One of the reasons is this meter is actually a multimeter and a clamp meter all in one. And it's the Fluke T5600, one of the most economical ones for a technician starting out. Then we're going to walk into nut drivers, what we need. We have to have a 7mm, and you can use a socket with an extension, but we need 7mm. This is also a 7mm. This one's just a unique one that actually bends around a corner for a couple of places on the machine. It's not essential. Then we have an 8mm. Now you can use a socket on this. In a pinch, you can actually use a small crescent wrench instead of that 8mm, because there's only two nuts on the whole machine that actually pertain to that particular size. Then I need a 3mm ball driver. This is just a unique one that actually fits a handle, just a tool system, if you will, but they're both 3mm. Then I'm going to need a 10mm open-end box end wrench, and then a 13mm box end wrench. This is actually for the eye steam. It's one of those essential tools that we really need. Then I need a straight blade screwdriver. Don't care what flavor you come in. This is just your standard size. And this also is a straight blade screwdriver, and it fits into that handle system. This is a Phillips, and it's a number 2 and a number 1. You just flip it around. Then we go over to crescent wrenches. Not essential, but really comes in handy, this small little baby 4-inch unit. And then we have a 6 and an 8. That's about all you really need on the machine. Any wrench bigger than that, they're just cumbersome, don't fit in the space that we need to use it in. Then we get into sockets and ratchets. So this is just your standard 3/8-inch ratchet with an extension. And then what sizes do I need? I need a 17mm in a lot of cases. I also need a 22mm and also a 20mm. And the 20mm is essential for the eye steam. If you do not have that, you're not getting the eye steam out. You might be able to fake it on like the 22 in certain cases using crescent wrenches and such, or an open end, but socket comes in so much handier. Then we jump over to a pair of needle nose pliers. I prefer an angle version, just easier to work with, helps out in a lot of cases. Essential to the coffee spout on the front of the machine, I've got a pair of snap ring pliers. And it just moves back and forth. I basically grab onto the snap ring and I can spread it open so I can pull the coffee spout off of the front of the machine. And you're not getting that snap ring off without a pair of snap ring pliers. Now we're going to go into a set of just common Allen wrenches, and these are the ball end, great to have. That's another essential tool. It's great as a backup if you ever lost your ball driver or needed a little more torque. That's an essential tool. Then we get into what I call the most essential tool for any espresso machine technician, and that is a set of welder tip cleaning tools, obviously well used, and this is found at any Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever. It's for reaming out small orifices. I have something that I really don't like to show. This is just a small little pointy device. It's sharp on the end. There are some times when I need to pry something out ever so gently, so this is a tool you will use very gingerly. I said earlier that we need to have a 20mm socket and that we need a 13mm open-end wrench. However, yesterday, I was told by a dear friend of mine, Mark O'Grady, and he had taken this wrench and actually substituted it for those two tools that I just told you. And what he did was he took a box end wrench and he just Dremel cooled, cut it off. And that way he doesn't need both of those tools. He can get in there and actually manipulate that nut on the eye steam without those other two tools. If you want to go down this road, fabulous. I'm just saying you need either the tools I suggested or an equivalent thereof.